You know those stories that really stick with you? The ones that have you double-checking the locks before you go to bed? I'm not talking about some slasher flick or a ghost story, but something that feels, well, real. Today, we're going to break down what makes a true horror story so deeply terrifying. All right, let's get into it.
So what is it, really? What's that secret ingredient that takes a story from just spooky to something that, crawls under your skin and just lives there? It's definitely not just about jump scares or a bunch of gore. No, it's something way more fundamental than that.
And here it is, the big one. It's when you realize it could happen to you. That's the key. The second your brain makes that connection and that little voice in your head goes, wait a minute, this isn't some fantasy. This could actually happen. That, right there, is when the real fear kicks in. All right, so let's talk about where this kind of horror really lives. Because the most powerful stuff, it doesn't come from some spooky old castle or a haunted forest. Nope, it comes from places much, much closer to home. We're not talking about haunted houses or ancient curses here. We're talking about real events that happen to real people. And to show you what I mean, we're going to look at 3 true stories. One set in a first apartment, another in a totally normal family house, and the last one, just a friend's basement. These are the kinds of places where you'd least expect it, and that's the point. This type of fear, it doesn't need monsters to be absolutely terrifying.
So this brings us to this huge idea, the violated safe space. I mean, think about it. These are the places where we're supposed to be completely safe, right? Where we can finally let our guard down. And that's exactly where the horror in these stories kicks off.
Okay, let's look at the first story. We've got a 19-year-old who's just moved into his very first apartment. You know the feeling, right? It's this huge symbol of freedom, independence. It's his space. He's in charge. Or at least that's what he thinks.
All right, story number 2. Another 19-year-old, but this time he's home alone in the big house he grew up in. He's so comfortable. He says he knows every single noise that house makes, every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the pipes. It's his turf. Totally familiar, totally predictable. And then there's the third story. This one's set in maybe the most casual place you can imagine, a buddy's basement. You know the scene, video games, hanging out before going out. It's a place that's all about friends, fun, and just feeling safe. So you see the pattern here, right? In every single one of these stories, the terror doesn't even begin until these personal, private territories are breached. The apartment, the family home, the basement, they're supposed to be our shields. And when that shield gets broken, our entire sense of security just completely shatters.
But just having your safe space violated, that's only part of the equation. The real terror, the stuff that gets you, is how it's violated. And that brings us to our next big idea, the fear of the unknown. It's not just about that something got in. It's about what is it? Or even worse, the fact that you have no idea what it is. Think about it like this. In a normal horror movie, you usually see the monster, right? You might even get its backstory. But in these real stories, the threat is fuzzy. It's a black mass in a dark corner. It's just a pair of hands gripping the top of a doorframe. Or it's a voice on the phone that shouldn't even be there. There's no face, no motive. You see, our brains are hardwired to fill in the blanks. We just can't stand not knowing. And when a story doesn't give us the answers, our own imagination steps in. And it almost always imagines the absolute worst thing possible. That shadow, those hands, they become a blank canvas for our deepest, darkest fears. Okay, let's trace how this escalating dread works using that phone call story. It starts small. Step 1, you get a late-night call from a no-caller ID. Kind of weird, maybe a little annoying, but not terrifying yet. Then, step 2, you realize the audio you're hearing on the phone is a perfect match for the TV show playing downstairs. Chills, right? Step 3, you hear footsteps coming up the stairs right towards your locked door. And then, the final blow. The doorknob starts to jiggle. See how that works? Each step builds on the last, creating this unbearable suspense, and you still have no idea who is out there. And this leads us perfectly into the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this might be the most disturbing part of all. It's the unresolved threat. Just look at how these stories end. Or don't end. In the first apartment story, the intruder gets away, leaving only fingerprints behind, never identified. In the anonymous caller story, yeah, the phone is traced to someone they know, but he denies everything, says his phone was stolen. We never actually find out. And the figure in the basement, poof, just gone, without a trace. There are no arrests, no confessions, no explanations. This is so important. There's no final scene where the cops drag the bad guy away in handcuffs.
The threat doesn't get resolved, it just fades away. And that leaves the victim, and us, with this awful, lingering feeling of vulnerability. That question just hangs there. Could it happen again? So when you put all of these pieces together, what do you get? You get a kind of fear that doesn't just go away when the story's over. It sticks with you. It's basically a recipe, right? First, you start with a sanctuary, a place you call your own, a place you feel completely safe. Then you introduce an unknown, some kind of threat that has no face, no clear motive. And the final step? You deny all resolution. You just let that mystery hang in the air, forever.
And that's really what separates just a scary story from a sleepless night. A scary movie, you watch it, and it ends. But this kind of horror, it works on you. It actually changes how you look at your own home. It makes you pay a little more attention to that creak you hear in the middle of the night.
And that's the real power here. These stories don't just give you a quick scare. They plant this tiny seed of doubt about the places where you feel the most secure. So I'll leave you with this question. After hearing all this, how safe will you feel in the dark tonight?